That's what I was looking for. It doesn't work. So, yes, it's your girl, Katarina. I am here. I am live. I am vibing. I am chilling. Um, but do 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 do. Let's just find a photo. Let's just find a photo of my car. I need to do body work on my car in the next little bit. There we go. Hey, how you doing there, Mr. Ducky? The Ducky Wucky. The robotic duck that is the duck that his name is Ryan. But his name is Robotic Duck. So if you ever see Robotic Duck, you know his name is Ryan. In case y'all didn't know that, Robotic Duck is a cool cat. He likes weird cars too. Like he likes his Ford Probes. He also likes RX-7s. And although he sold both of his RX-7 and his Probe, so now he's like probeless and RX-7less. So yeah. A good wait, $6,000 for a Probe? That seems really overpriced. Like a Probe is not a high dollar vehicle, right? I don't know if I'd go $6,000 on a Probe ever in my life. Now, granted, they're kind of a neat vehicle. They're cool. They're cool beans, but it's still just a Probe in the end, right? That's a Nissan Mustang by another name. If you know, you know. But yeah, really? I mean, granted, I don't see Probes that often, and when I do, oddly enough, I actually see them in the junkyard. It's kind of funny that way. But I guess if they're minty, I suppose. But see, I'm used to them being like running, driving in pretty good shape for like 2-3 grand, right? Unless it's like a really early one, but yeah, like which because it's kind of funny. Like years ago, I had the opportunity, and I actually did talk to the guy, and never actually went to go see it. But I was really tempted by this car. It was on Marketplace, and it was a first gen, but it wasn't a Probe actually. It was pre. Like I'm not sure if it was pre Probe. It may have been like first gen Probe potentially, but it was 80s. It was like 88 or 87, I think. It was an MX-6 GT, which is the same car, to be honest. Like they were identical vehicles. I just don't remember when the Probe started though. I think it was 87 actually is when the Probe started because I was supposed to replace the Fox body Mustang. Yeah. Would have been around then. Um, but anyways, it's one of those deals though where that car, like it wasn't running. He didn't have keys for it, and it was a 4-wheel steering turbo MX-6 GT, right? Like super kind of cool, unique car, right? He only wanted $1,000 for it. I was very tempted by it. But I decided to say no, I'm not gonna buy that. And I think that's when I ended up buying Buzz actually. So there's that. Um but I don't know if I have like to be honest, regular car reviews has lost its luster for me. Like I used to really like his content, but now I'm not really there. I do like their deep exposés though into the like with their like essays. Honestly, that's pretty cool, but it's not actually him doing it. That's Roman doing it. And it's just really awesome, to be honest. Yeah, no, that's fair. I understand why you're still looking. It makes sense. They're a neat car and everything. And you have the headers and jazz. So I gets it. I gets it. But yeah, like, because his whole expose that he did on Tucker was incredible, honestly. Like, it's like a 3-hour video, but it's so worth watching it because it goes way more in depth with Tucker than the movie did. I'll tell you that. Like, and I understand, like, where a movie it needs to have some entertainment value whatsoever. Where it's a essay, right, that he does. So, and you're playing Underground too, mint. I haven't played that in a long time. But and the one thing is, and I will die on this hill. I don't care. People say, "Oh, it's such an amazing game." Blah blah blah. I'm like, is it though? Like people put Underground 2 in like the upper echelon of Need for Speed games all the time. They say that like they say that Underground 2 is like the best Need for Speed title of all time. I go, no, it's Most Wanted 2005. I will die on that hill that 2005 Most Wanted is the best Need for Speed of all time. Because the one thing is with Underground 2, don't get me wrong, the story is pretty good, and what you can do in it is awesome. However, there's a thing that I don't like about Underground 2, and that's the fact that it forces you into modifying your vehicle in a way that you might not want to do it. Now you might think, wait, what are you talking about? Well, there's the whole style points thing and to do the photo shoots and whatever else that you have to do in that game. And I was never a fan of that, to be honest, of that system. It was just so stupid, you know? Now I will agree that the customization was better in Underground 2. But I don't know, the story, the gameplay, the cars, it clears Underground 2 with Most Wanted, you know? Yeah, like, and again, I'll die on hill with Most Wanted. But, you know, something that's cool that you guys will get to actually hear about before anybody else, because if you watch the live streams, you get this information before anybody else does. So, you know of my QA1 stuff, of my sponsorship, which I still cannot believe that I actually got sponsored by QA1. That is like a bucket list thing that I never thought would happen because it's such a huge company, right? And like QA1 is on the Mount Rushmore of aftermarket suspension companies. They are up there. You know, you have like QA1, you have BC Racing, and you know stuff like that. Like they're in that echelon. This stuff is extremely expensive, and yet they are actually like sponsoring me, which is insane. Now, this sponsorship is different than any other sponsorship I've ever done because I don't believe I get a commission on sales of this, at least not to my knowledge, where most of the other things I have. I'm not getting free products. I actually had to pay for it. So, you know, it's fine, like honestly, and it's amazing, and I love QA1. Like I've followed what they've done for a long time, so you know, and like Stitch is going to get like such an amazing setup when it's all said and done. Now, I didn't go for the top of the line stuff because I still had to kind of afford it, which you guys might think, well, how was she able to afford that? You know, because yo girl here doesn't exactly have a lot of money, right? Well, for one, I got a discount from QA1, so I'm not going to unveil what that discount was, but I got a massive discount on their products. But I sold I sold Mousetrap, the F250, to afford this. That was the thing, and it was nice that I was able to get rid of the truck within a week because it all worked out so perfectly with doing the order and everything. When I got that email from QA1 to say, "Hey, we've accepted your request for sponsorship," you know, which because again they open up their queries every year for different content creators that you can actually just email them and try and get, you know, onto their list and whatever else. And I didn't think I actually got enough views on my channel or anything like that, or had enough people watch it, or enough subscribers or anything like that to get a sponsorship of this caliber. Because like the one thing is with the other sponsorships I've gotten, they've all been pretty like big, but still like small in the grand scheme companies. Like Flash Arc Racing, I love them and they are incredible. They were one of my first sponsors of the channel, and they have actually done a lot for me and the channel. It's been great. And then, like, I even have Oxido, which, again, actually really big company in LED space and stuff like that. It's awesome that they've sponsored me, although I gotta talk to them about some stuff because there's some stuff that hasn't really been working out, and I need to talk to them about it. It's not with their products. Their products are fantastic. It's just I need to talk to them. But and then there's been other ones like Mucar, and there's been Last Fit sponsored me for a bit too. That one never worked out that well. Like I got a free product off of them, but the sponsorship just didn't work out in the end. It was nothing on their end. It was nothing really on my end. It's just nobody was using like the codes or anything, and it just we ended up dropping the sponsorship from each other, which is okay. I don't really mind that. It happens, right? And you can't guarantee that people are going to use your discount codes and whatever else and use your links. And that's why I implore people that sorry, that if you do go to those websites trying to order stuff, is if you can use my stuff. And also, fun fact actually, speaking of my discount codes, Flash Arc Racing's having a huge sale. Like, it's actually their 6th anniversary. So you guys should like check them out. They're having some massive discounts already on their regular products. And then if you use my code KAT15 all in caps, you'll receive 15% off your order on top of those big discounts. Like some of those discounts are up to like 60%, and then you can get another 15% on top of that. It's just incredible, honestly. And sounds good, Ryan. I appreciate you hopping in and saying hi. It's been a bit. Take care, and have a good rest of your evening. But yes, I am excited with QA1, because also, like, so, for those of you that are here, not that anybody else is talking other than Ryan, but there's 13 of you, or there was 13, and there's 8, regardless. So, being sponsored by QA1, it was interesting because in the process of actually going on their website and looking at the sponsorship request forms, and they actually ask what products do you want, right? So it's like, okay, interesting. I've never had that before with like requesting for sponsorship and stuff like that. So clearly these guys know what's up, right? And it's kind of neat. And the professionalism is awesome. And so I picked a bunch of products which so as an example, I have coilovers front and rear for Stitch. I have a caster camber, plates for the front. I'm getting a tubular K-member, and I'm getting a full sway bar kit. And it cost me a lot of money. Worth it, but a lot of money. And it's going to completely transform how this thing handles. And I can't wait. Now, I don't know how I'm going to test it, because I'm going to need to, like, the only shitty part is, I can't test it properly without, like, a proper, like, a track day or something, right? I think you can. I'm not aware of that, but I'm pretty sure you can, actually. Like, although I don't know if I'll be doing that, to be fair. Like, I'm just going to install them as is and then do the adjustments, whatever else, and see what's what. But what's kind of cool with their shocks is, like, because you can actually rebuild everything that they have, for the most part, like, when it comes to the suspension, so it's really cool. And because a lot of, like, the upper echelon companies will let you do that, right? Where there are some companies that, granted, are still really good, but don't allow you to rebuild their products. It's kind of sad. You should be able to rebuild everything on, especially something that costs this much. So yeah, and I am stoked honestly, on this. And when it's all said and done, I mean, my car is going to be an absolute animal when it comes to that. So I'm very excited, and I cannot wait for that. But also, for any of the Alberta peeps that are in the chat, there's a swap meet coming up on Saturday. You will get to see me there. Now, I won't have a table set up or anything like that. I didn't set that up prior, so it is what it is. There is stuff that I could actually sell at a table, don't get me wrong. I just did not even think about it. But, anyways, so I will be there, and if you want to see me, if you want me to sign anything for you, bring a marker, because I probably won't have one, or a pen, you know. And yeah, I'll be walking around the pavilion. I don't know if I'll be there for the full event. I'm gonna try and get there towards the beginning, but we'll see. I don't plan on buying anything because I don't have the money to buy anything. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe there's something that's like really cheap that I'll buy. I mean, of course I'm gonna buy myself food, but that's about it. While I'm there, so yeah, it should be pretty cool. And you have TRW. See, TRW is pretty good, honestly. I've heard good things about them too. You know, and yeah, like for the most part, like the upper echelon of like suspension companies, you can't really go wrong with like a lot of them. You know, between QA1 and like UPR, TRW, stuff like that. They're all like really good overall. BC Racing, that sort of thing. But you do see like the quality differences of like the super high end comparatively, right? And it is a little interesting that way. See me. But honestly, I am just so excited for this. And like I said, QA1 suspension in my freaking car. It is going to be amazing. And y'all will get to see that. I don't know when, though. I cannot exactly confirm when I'm getting these. Because I do know, like, with the phone call that I had, and it's weird, I've never been so excited to spend so much money in my life. Ever. They called me, and it's kind of interesting. It pops up as a 1-900 number, and it said QA1. I'm like, oh, hello, and then we went from there. So what's really neat though is there's also gonna be like some swag in that too. So I'll get some stuff, which is awesome. And yeah, all they're waiting on right now, I guess there's some suspension components for the rear that are getting finalized, before they get sent out to me. So that's what they're waiting on, and then they'll ship them out. So it'll be great. And hey, Kelly, how you doing? Ugh. Jeez, I am just... Rick. Everything's just been so crazy, but awesome. But crazy at the same time. Hi, Rascal. What are you doing, bug? You look like you're gonna have like a hairball or something like that, dude. Like, hi. You good? You good? Can I get a kiss? Can I get some kisses? No? Well, screw you then. Rude. My kitten's being mean. Right? God, I love a good Chinook. Chinooks are friggin' fantastic. Honestly. Like, they are the best. And, now, something, I don't know if I'm going to commit this. I've thought about it, and we'll see. When it comes to the suspension going in stitch, I kind of want to see and do it this way of, well, with filming it, because, like, don't get me wrong, I'll film everything, of course, but I might try and go live for it as well. And so you guys will kind of see how I film stuff at the same time, while also going live. I've kind of wanted to do that, and I mean, and QA1 would be a great way to, like with this, to be a great way to do it. And it's nice, because, on here, like, it does, like, on YouTube when you're live, it doesn't, like, your battery lasts a lot longer versus say like a TikTok live or something like that, where I'm lucky if I get like 2.5 hours out of a battery charge, where here I can go like 6-7 hours. So, and for the most part, I should be able to get the suspension done in that amount of time, I would think. Should be able to, but we'll see. We'll see. And that's gonna be the fun part. Wait, like I said, I do want to do more live streams to be like working on shit, but it almost never works out that way. But yeah, so well, here's the thing. I cuss a decent amount. Don't get me wrong, I do, and you guys will see it. I don't censor myself. I don't. It's one of those things where I don't really care. Because as long as you don't swear within the first, like, what is it, 2 or 5 minutes or something like that, YouTube doesn't really care all that much. So, yeah, honestly, and you guys have seen me have big fits and whatever else trying to do stuff. Because also, I don't know with, like, the coilovers, are they just a basic bolt-on thing, or do I have to modify stuff? And so, when I actually open it up, I'm going to have to look at the instructions and figure that out to see if there's modifications that need to be done. And as well as if there is any difference, because my car's an inline 6, that, this will be okay. I don't know. And that is going to be the interesting thing. Because if I have to do modifications, it's going to be a little difficult for me to do that here. So, yeah. We'll figure stuff out, don't get me wrong. There's no shot in hell of that. I don't have an engine hoist, and I also don't have, like, my welder isn't quite up to snuff to, make motor mounts, right? Because I'm going to have custom motor mounts made. So, I have made a friend who is possibly, going to build me some, but we'll see. We'll see, honestly. And no, I won't have a table for the Red Deer Swap Meet. It's a bit of an oversight because I could sell some stuff there, to be honest, but it's fine. I will just be walking around. Now, you might see me at one table in particular because it's a friend of mine. I don't know if I'll see any other friends there, but I'll be there for sure. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. And Arden had a steering damper on a dirt bike that you changed the oil in, brake fluid to 50 weight 40. The adjuster on it tightened up on the loose steering, real good for gravel travel roads, reducing ride fatigue. Well, fair enough. I mean, with mine, I'm not too worried about that, because it's not like I'm going to be driving on, like, I do drive on gravel roads, don't get me wrong, but there's a reason why that the kit I got, I didn't get the full race kit, right? The kit that I got for the coilovers is the street/strip, one. Now it's not drag racing, but it is for, like, road racing/street, so there's that. Oh, yeah, well, here's the thing. I already know that Roy Marco is likely to have a table. He usually does. I know of probably another 2 or 3 that are going to have tables. There's a possibility of as an example, because sometimes he has it set up, sometimes he doesn't, of, like, Sean Umsheed, which is the What No Way guy. Sometimes he has a table set up there, too, but it's not all the time, but I've seen him there, to be honest. Any C3 or C4s you know about that are in a field for cheap? No, honestly, I really don't. Like, for Corvettes that are like C3 or C4s? All I know of where a hood is for a C4, but that's it. So, unless if he's gotten rid of it, but I don't think he has. I'd have to confirm with him, but yeah. It's kind of a customized hood that's, it's got mirrors on the bottom of the hood as an example. It's kind of a funky thing. It was on clearly a show car back in the day. But, yeah. And it's red. And somebody put, like, one of those stupid glue-on fucking hood scoops on it. It looks terrible with that on it, but beyond that, it's pretty cool. But actual full cars? No. I don't, unfortunately. See, now, but something else, though, and that I do know of, like, with QA1, like, they're sending me as well, like, so some swag, which is, like, hats and, shirts and hoodies and whatever else. But they're also sending me a banner, which I don't know where I'm going to even try and set up a banner for that. And it might just be that it doesn't get set up and it just stays, which is okay. You know? See, and again, I looked it up. They don't have any tire companies under their umbrella. I already looked into that. They don't. So, don't get me wrong. I want to reach out to some tire companies and see if they might want to sponsor me, but I might try and do that after I get all the suspension installed. Because then if they see that and realize, oh, this girl needs tires, right? And I can show them that, hey, this is what I've got. I'm just looking at, just need tires at this point, right? Can you help me out? Right? And then go from there. And if that means that with some of the stuff, like with these bigger companies that are now starting to notice me, you might see some like sponsored stuff when it comes to in videos. And I apologize, but QA1 has not asked for that though. They really haven't. Well, what I'm referring to is I didn't ask them on the phone about that, but I looked at all the companies that is under the umbrella of QA1. None of them are tire companies. That's all I said. Because I'm sure they might have some sort of a hookup, but they're probably not going to hook me up with that. They might want to see how I do and then stuff like that, but I'm not going to call them and just be like, hey, you guys like sponsor me, but do you know of any tire companies like that? To do that, it's like that's a little unprofessional, to be honest. It's one thing for like friends and whatever else like that, sure, or other like YouTubers and stuff to ask them, yeah. But it's one of these things. I don't. Yeah, I just don't think so. Now, to be honest, I don't really care on tire company. Whether it is a big company, whether it's a small company, as long as it's a tire that I can use on the road course, that's all I care about. So we shall see. We shall see. That's also like a fairly sticky tire, right? Because that's kind of the goal. Because here's the thing. My summer's, like, my regular set of tires, I'm just going to go with, like, a generic tire that's nothing special, that will still get decent grip, but it's not like a holy crap sticky tire on the 14s. So as an example, a la BFGTA, Cooper Cobras, stuff like that. And then on the 15s, I'm going to have, the really sticky tires, like, say, a Nankang, or a Falcon, or, Bridgestone, or, like, you name it, right? And then go from there. And it might just be that I just find the tires for cheap and go from there. Because it's one of these things where I've talked to different, like, tire places around Alberta. None of them want to sponsor me, which I understand. It's kind of a thing where they don't know how much benefit they'd get by sponsoring me, which I get it. If you're like a little mom and pop, or even if you are a franchise, you might not know that. Before the swap. Well, I mean, I'm not vending for QA1 though. Like, I don't like I that wouldn't really do much for that though. To be fair, when you're talking about like that, I too bad I didn't know about this QA1 sponsor beforehand. Yeah, I mean, I only learned about this sponsor like 2 weeks ago, right? That's the reason why I listed Mousetrap and Solder, so I can afford the sponsorship. So the whole reason why I did that. Because otherwise I still have the truck, right? And I would, still be going to the swap meet, but I might actually be in the truck instead, right? Instead of in Stitch. Because I might be trying to buy some parts, as an example. Like, because I had full intentions of trying to find some stuff for the thing. I didn't go to college. Didn't go to university or college. If you're wondering about how I know about all this automotive shit, I am fully self-taught. I did not learn under anybody. Now, granted, I have had some help with friends along the way when I've needed it, but for the most part, I've done the bulk of the stuff on my car myself. Right? Now, granted, I mean, I gotta shout out my buddy Keith Ellett, though, because it's been just over 3 years. Actually, it was 3 years in January, to be fair, of the T5 swap and stitch. And he did the bulk of it, to be fair. I mostly helped, but he did a lot of the fabrication and whatnot. So, I did most of just putting the parts on the car. He did, like, if it needed custom fabrication, he did it. So, that wasn't me, to be fair. That was him. I could have done it, but he just decided, I'll just do it. I'm like, okay, I'll let you do it. You know? So, yeah. Like I said, but everything I've done, self-taught. So, whether that is, you know, and even with, like, all my automotive knowledge, that way. Yeah, the one thing is, when it comes to like Canadian Tire, they're not gonna have the tires I want at all. Not even close. They're not gonna have the grip I want and stuff like that because a lot of their tires are like economy tires, and they don't order in like these fancy tires, right? It's don't get me wrong. I love Canadian Tire. They are fantastic, but their quality of tires are not what I'm looking for in my car. You know, because like the one thing is like daily driving. Sorry, I don't have an issue with, right? That's fine. With daily driving, I can get whatever tires off of Marketplace or ask friends and stuff like that. That's not a problem. Because even I've gotten free tires. Like the tires that were on my truck, I got those for free. That was off of my buddy, actually, Rusty Classics Garage, which, if you see his channel, go check him out. He does some really cool stuff, too. And he's got a really awesome collection and stuff like that. He's actually let me drive a few of his vehicles and stuff like that for reviews, and it's been fantastic, honestly. Like, he's a decent friend of mine down in Vulcan. I know, because who knows? Maybe I see him at the swap meet, because he might show up. I haven't asked him, actually, if he's going to be there or not, but... Oh, yeah, like, basic tires are cheap. Like, for reference, so, you know the 14s that I used to run on Stitch all the time? With those Westlake tires? Now, they were 1 year old, but brand new, never mounted on a car. And those were an all-season tire, not a winter tire. I got those for $390, mounted and balanced, by Fountain Tire here in town. Like, and again, they're just a generic cheapy tire that, do they provide a lot of grip? No, but they're actually a decent Chinesium tire. Wait, right? And I would actually recommend that if somebody's on a budget, Westlake is fine, you know? But, you know, like, and even, like, Nexen can be pretty good and stuff like that. You know, I've seen people run Ironman tires, and they're fine.
It was as much a Mustang as I'm an athlete. Ford had lost the plot. It was time to pull the plug or try something new.
Okay, that's over 2 minutes long. I can't really watch that when I'm live there, Daddy-o. But I'll watch that later. My dad sent me a video on, like, Mustangs and stuff like that to watch on the Facebooks. So, yeah. But, just trying to think. So, yeah, so now with, you know, everything with Stitch and all that, it's gonna be, like, it's gonna be so fun, honestly. Because I did tell you guys that, like, fantastic stuff was coming down the pipeline, and I was not kidding about that. There's still, like, the whole head situation to figure out, because, again, I've got to get that checked out by the machine shop and all that. It's just, the budget hasn't been there, I've been sick, and, yeah. Luckily, I'm feeling better now. Like, I don't feel any symptoms of being sick anymore, so that's good. Because for a bit there's a reason why you guys didn't see videos from me for a couple of weeks. because I was just sick as a dog, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if I actually had COVID again. I've had it twice, and this, according to with like the new variant of COVID, it kind of seems like that was COVID. But I don't know, to be honest. And it takes like a lot for me to actually get sick, right? I don't get sick very often unless it's something like really, really bad. So, and what is this guy doing? He's backing down the alley. Okay then. Interesting. Well, and I mean, and if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna have to have like a basic tire setup like I did, last year. I'd prefer for the road course to actually have a really good tire on stitch. Like, even if it's a damn near full blown slick, it's gonna be difficult to keep the heat in the tires though, with the track I run on. But we'll see. We'll see. Because the one thing is, especially now, granted, I can do the open lapping, which they actually did say that they would give me a free track day. I just gotta see when their next, like when their schedule opens up, and I'll go from there and see. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at for that. But it's gonna be really fun and everything. I can't wait for this season. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be exciting. And y'all are in for a treat, with the content, honestly, because I am absolutely excited and ecstatic for this. I I am just dumbfounded by it because when I saw that I actually got sponsored by QA1, like my reaction, honestly, because I got an email, right, and I'm looking, and then it's like, oh, it's from QA1. Okay, this is just gonna be like a deny, right? And it's just like it's fine, it's whatever. And then I go, and the one thing is, my dad was here, and he was watching a show with his best friend Kelly. They just about every night when he's home, actually, they'll watch like a show together. Like they'll be video chatting, and they'll watch something on like Apple TV or something like that. It's a really cool thing that they actually do that. Anyways, when I got that, they were watching a show, and I just like I dropped my phone and I'm like, yes! I like screamed, and my dad's looking at me just like, what? I was like, I got sponsored by QA1, and it was just like it was so exciting. Uh, I've never had that kind of reaction to getting a sponsorship before. Like, all of my other sponsorships on the channel have been great, don't get me wrong. Like, even with like the one of the more recent ones, which is GKU, they've actually been pretty good overall. And you can see now that I have an awesome camera setup in the car because of them. So shout out to GKU. Now, if they ask me to do another one, I'm gonna have to tell them maybe not. Just because unless if I have another car, right? If I have another car with a functional cigarette lighter, sure. Because I'm not hardwiring that stuff in, to be honest. I have zero desire to actually hardwire in any of that, because it'll easily kill your battery, which that's what happened to my dad's truck, to be honest. And although if I actually do another video of doing a jump starter, I will actually like have to intentionally kill the battery in Stitch again, which is funny. And my neighbors, they're awesome and everything, but the last time I did that, to test out that jump starter that I got from Oxido, they were like letting me know, hey, you left your lights on. Just like, yeah, I know, that was on purpose. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. Everything I do is tactful that way. Because sometimes you do have to set up videos. Sometimes. It's rare. Like, that's the only time I've actually set up a video for that, if there's been a problem, right? So whenever you see, like, a dead battery, it's usually, like, purposeful. Not all the time. Like, the one the other day with my dad's truck, that was not purposeful. He actually accidentally left that plugged in, and I did the video. But, yeah. And anytime you see that from a lot of content creators, they are 100% setting it up, right? But yeah. Trying to think, is there anything else that I can think about to talk about? Because, like, we talked about the suspension and everything like that. We talked about the sponsorship. We're talking about that I'll be at the Red Deer Swap Meet on Saturday. Um, yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything else that I can think of. And oh, actually, something I could talk about, to be honest, on here, because I'm not aware if I've talked about it on here or not. But how everything worked out with Mousetrap was kind of funny. So, with Mousetrap, okay, because I sold her, and that all worked out pretty well. Well, the stuff I didn't really talk about all that much, I kind of alluded to it on my Facebook, but that was it, is... So, the truck ran out of gas. And then it had a weird issue with the carburetor where it was not priming the carb properly, and I was able to get it restarted again. I don't know why that happened, but welcome to carburetors. Sometimes they act up on you, to be honest. And then, so... Anyways, it kind of, puffs out and stalls out at the lights, and so we had to actually, push it into a parking lot really quick. Luckily, it was downhill and it wasn't too bad to actually push that truck. It's heavy, but it's not quite that bad. It rolls pretty nice. So, anyways, I get it fired back up again, and it's all copacetic, and then we get out on the road, and then it actually runs out of fuel, right? Down the highway, a good about 10 clicks from where we were. And so I was like, you know what? We're not that far from the gas station. Like, granted, we're a decent chunk away, but we're not that far. Let's go get some fuel. Right? So we did. We walked down there, and because I asked, or I talked to him, and I was just like, so, it's up to you. You can sit here and wait with the truck, or you can walk with me to the gas station. It's up to you. It's a good 2 clicks away. Right? So anyways, he ends up walking with me, and it's funny, the guy that was actually checking out the truck wasn't even the guy that was interested in the truck. This was his cousin. Right? So, we're walking down, blah, 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 and, I actually talked to the guy that's actually interested in the truck, and we're negotiating whatever else, and he offers $3,000, and that's honestly perfect. I'm like, sure. Honestly, I'm not even going to negotiate with that. That's actually very fair. That sort of thing. Actually, no. I think he offered, it was 28. I said 32. He said 29. I said 31, and then we met at $3,000. But then, afterwards, trying to get the truck restarted was a pain in the ass. Because if you know anything about a big vehicle... with a lot of fuel line and a mechanical pump, okay? It's one thing if it's an electric pump, but a mechanical pump, you need to be turning the engine over, which takes a lot of power to actually turn over an engine, to be honest. It's not easy, to actually start the truck. And so, now, if you don't have about 20 liters of fuel in the tank, good luck actually trying to restart it without fuel in the lines. It's very difficult, actually. So we had to put even more fuel in it when it was all said and done. And, I did. Not a big problem. Luckily, I had the money to be able to do it, and it was fine. And then, so, we get that all done and everything, but the battery dies trying to actually suck the fuel through the line, right? Because, again, trying to put fuel through 20 feet of line, filling up the fuel filter properly, and then pushing it through the pump, and all the way up the line and into the carburetor, it takes a lot out of a battery, to be honest, to do that. And of course, the battery ends up dying. So I had my jump pack. That worked for a bit, but then the jump pack... The one thing is, that Oxino jump pack is awesome, but it only is good for, a couple of jumps, maybe. And then the battery dies. It's a very small sort of jump pack, and that's the annoying part about it. So I actually called my dad and said, "Hey, Daddy-o, can you bring the jumper cables, please?" I'm on the phone with him. It's taken him forever, to be honest, to get here. And then as he's about to leave, I had to call him again to say, "Hey, by the way, actually, a woman stopped. She had jumper cables. We got it fired up. So, no big deal." Then I drove it back. I filled up the tank for them. Like, I filled up the tank for my truck, to be honest, for the buyer. So they get a free full tank of fuel with it. So that's great. Um, but anyway, so that all happens, and then we get back here because I had to put the jerry cans back, and I had to put a couple things back here, to be honest, from the truck, and then I followed Kyron out to. There's actually a storage facility here in town that they got it all figured out, and the truck is currently stored there. Um, so apparently, like first week of April or so, he's supposed to be down, and because I included the wheels and tires that I have for the truck, I did include those in on the sale, and I included the fender that I pulled out of the junkyard. So he's going to be getting all that. Um, and so we'll kind of see how that goes from there. And hopefully he's happy with it. I mean, he's already paid me. I've already spent the money, so he's got to be happy with it at this point. If not, oh well. You sent somebody and they told you everything, and we seem to be good that way. But yeah. So, anyways, that's kind of how that all went, and it was kind of an interesting like screw around. But the one thing is, though, he was concerned about the battery of the truck, so he negotiated $100 off. He tried to get it like over 150, or to actually it was close to $200 off. I'm like, dude, the battery is fine in this thing. It just any battery would die. To be honest on that. Oh, here's the thing. So okay, there's somebody with like a flashlight that are looking for shit outside, so that was a little concerning. That saw me do that. But I was actually priming the carb and like filling up the carb every time too. But it wouldn't run long enough to charge the battery properly, and it would just keep dying. Because one thing is, in a 4 or 2 barrel carb, you can fill up the float bowl, and there's actually a lot of fuel there. In that little Carter YFA, it doesn't hold a lot of fuel in that carburetor. It takes no time at all for it to actually, uh, for it to drain out that way. So it's kind of annoying. Um, and it would have been nice to have like a squirt bottle, don't get me wrong, with fuel, but I didn't even think about it. Just to, have it running and then just keep doing that until we see the fuel filter fill up with fuel, and then we would have been good. I would have been able to get an extra $100 out of the deal, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, that's kind of how that goes. Also, hey Duke Luke, how you doing, man? Um, but so at least like that sale worked out pretty well overall. I really did enjoy that whole like experience because it was just kind of fun for me to have that adventure, right? Although you forget how out of shape you are when you're not doing stuff very often, and then you do a almost 6 kilometer hike in one day, and then you're like really sore the next day and can barely walk. Yeah, that was me. And it took me actually a couple of days to be able to recover. I really need to get in better shape and actually do stuff, but it didn't help though that I was recovering from being sick. So there was that. It was also cold, so my lungs were like kicking my ass, and ugh. It would have been so much better if it was like a day, say it was like today or yesterday or something like that, where it's just nice and warm and beautiful, right? But it happened to be the weekend where it was like minus 15. So, it is what it is. But, uh, regardless though, it all worked out. It was a good day overall. I got paid. I got to spend the money on Stitch. It's all good. I mean, yeah, you can. Like, and if you had that set up as a dual battery setup, it would have been fine, but it wasn't, you know? I feel that. I'm not really round, but I do feel that in my soul there, Duke. Trust me, I do. Um, like if I had them set up in a series that way, right? And had two batteries would have been fine, but actually that battery, it's an older battery to be fair, and it was out of my dad's Magnum. Um, it was a Mopar battery, right? So, full AGM battery, all that jazz, you know? And hopefully it's good for him. Um, and I guess we'll see if he needs to do like if he needs to charge it up. That will suck, but it is what it is. Um, so it'll be great though. And like I said, so I'll see the truck once more. In like April, and that's it. I mean, unless if he forgets to come by here and pick up that stuff, then well, I'll have spare wheels and tires to sell and a fender to sell for a dead set. So yeah. Um. Also, hi Amber, how you doing? So honestly though, it's I I am just so excited for everything that's going on with Stitch. And I hope you guys are excited too for it because genuinely it's going to be awesome and exciting. And because I don't know exactly how to convey of how like awesome this sponsorship is, to be honest. I mean, to a certain degree, yes. Because as an example, there's a thing that I need to figure out, and that's my parts car Capri. You know, that is my parts car Capri. I need to strip it and get the parts back here. So that's going to be the tricky thing. Now I might just have to borrow my dad's truck and then get up to Edmonton, strip that whole car, tell Keith, hey, you can scrap it, and honestly, you can keep whatever money from scrapping it, whenever I take the parts that I want off of it. Just as a thank you for letting me store it there and blah 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 blah. So we'll see. We'll see. And hey Leo, yeah, I want to try and live stream a little bit more on here. I've been live streaming, on TikTok so much, and I've been neglecting y'all. So, because I always forget of how humble and awesome my YouTube lives are, and where like TikTok is just chaotic, and like I get so many people as an example with this thing, like because my background is the same, right? It like on TikTok lives, it's the same as it is here. I'll have like the green screen up and I'll have my Mustang in the background, right? And they'll go, my truck is faster than your car. My built truck is faster than your car. My diesel's faster than your car. Just like in a straight line, probably. But let's get on the road course, and I promise you, I'm probably gonna gap you on the road course. There's like, no, there's no way. The car only has 100 horsepower. How the fuck is it going to keep up with us? Because my car can turn. You're in GMT 800s. They don't turn worth for shit. I know that because I've driven my dad's Avalanche. That thing handles like ass, to be honest. It's funny. My dad's side handled better than his Avalanche. So there's that. But yeah, now, and here's the thing. Stitch is not getting a bigger engine, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong. There was an idea for a while to maybe do a 250 swap, which it's not the most annoying swap, but it's not the easiest swap. So to do a 250 in a Fox body, you actually have to combine, like the hardest part about it is combining a 250 oil pan with a 200 oil pan from a Fox body, right? That's the hardest thing you have to do. So not awful, right? But I saw that. I'm like, do I really want to do that? To throw in a 250, right? I don't know. And to only gain out of the deal, you know, like to only gain out of the deal of about maybe 15 horsepower, I don't think it's worth it. But no worries, Amber. Have a good rest of your night. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you later. But and 4x4 does not handle as well as rear-wheel drive. You're not wrong on that, of course. But at the same token, though, like I'm in an old truck with a big steering box, with leaf spring suspension in it, and in a truck that was built in the 70s, that's a 3/4 ton, and that's still like outhandled my dad's Avalanche. That's a half ton. That actually I think weighs less than the Denside did, which is kind of funny because like my Denside was 4,400 pounds. I think his Avalanche is like 42 or 41. They're actually a little lighter than you think they are, even though they're based on the Avalanche, but they're not like a super super heavy truck. I'm not doing a 302. No, no. You will never, ever, 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 ever see a V8 in my Mustang. Not ever. Now, there is talks of doing different inline sixes in the car that are still Ford. But, yeah. I don't know exactly when it's going to be shipped, to be honest. Haven't a clue. I know it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, but that's all I know. So, there's that. When it comes to the, my Ask Why Not a 302? 302s are boring. Like, don't get me wrong. Cool. Everything, sure. But how many... Like, okay. You mentioned that you know Fox bodies really well. So, how many Fox bodies do you see at a car show, okay? When you pop open their hoods, how many of them are the identical builds to each other? That, oh look, this has an MSD box in it. Okay, yeah, which is valid, to be honest. You're gonna have MSD boxes in most things. That's fine. But like, oh look, this has the same aluminum heads as the one right next to it. And oh look, this has the same intake system as the one next to it. And oh look, they're running the same distributors. And oh look, like that's the whole thing. I want my car to be different. And yes, I don't make as much power as they do, but I'm also lighter than they are. Like, quite a bit lighter. So, like, as an example, okay, the inline six in my Mustang weighs, when it's fully dressed, and that's even with AC, to be fair. Mine doesn't have AC. So you could probably shave off another 40 pounds off this. Is 360 pounds for a fully dressed 200 inline six. A 302 is 440 pounds, fully dressed, right? So it's one of those deals where I'm lighter, and also when racing, what is better, right? A V8, which is inherently imbalanced, or an inline six, which is extremely well balanced. Like there is that. So it's not only lighter, it's also smoother, and the weight balance is better. So there's that. And yeah, Chevy half ton is, but again, this is an Avalanche. Let me look up the weight because I'm pretty sure it's lighter than that. Let's just see. 2004 Avalanche Z71 weight. Because maybe I'm wrong on the weight. Okay, I was wrong on the weight. My bad. I thought the thing was a lot lighter than that. Yeah, his Avalanche is over 5,600 pounds. That's my bet. And I am broke. After today, I am flat ass broke. I can't afford tires. Now, if somebody wants to like donate me money to go buy tires at the swap meet, maybe, but they're gonna be too expensive. Like, you know? Um, it's just one of those things. Like, at a swap meet, you can find some deals, but you're not finding deals on tires. There's just no way. So, let's see. Okay, that's interesting. I don't have issues with that, but okay. Sorry, somebody just commented on one of my posts and saying that I have issues with their stuff. So, well, do you think I'm gonna keep my car stock? Also, like, here's the interesting thing though, Duke, is so my car, the way she's set up right now, except she wouldn't have had the subframe connectors, I don't believe. No, she wouldn't have had the, no. She had the subframe connectors, she didn't have the strut brace. That's what it was. So everything on the car except for the strut brace, and I didn't have the cooling figured out, so I actually had to pull the hood off at the track day. You know? Um, so anyways, um, I was on that particular track day, and bear in mind, the one driver is actually a really good driver overall. I don't know about the woman. I have no idea, considering somebody with a very similar car with worse tires did a much better time than she did. So bear this in mind. But anyways, he was in a 2014 Mustang GT. Okay, 6-speed manual, and I don't know what modifications he has done, but you know he's a good driver. Honestly, I know the dude, and he did a 101, and so did that 2017 WRX around the road course. I did a 103. So I was only 2 seconds a lap slower than those cars, right? And again, one has a fucking Coyote in it. That is a lot more power than I do. Revs up so much quicker, has a better suspension than I've got, and yet he was only 2 seconds a lap faster than me. Just putting it out there, right? Like, so if you can have the perfect sort of weight balance in your car, it'll outweigh the power difference. Because I'm not drag racing, I'm road racing, right? Big difference. If I was drag racing, V8 absolutely all the time. But I'm not. I'm road racing. And is there a big aftermarket support for these inline sixes? No. But I already have like the tri-power intake and head set up that I'm going to get on the car. I just need to get it checked out by a machine shop. Just don't have the money for it right now. I have made a deal with a friend to swap or to actually trade a header for a camshaft. So that's gonna happen. At some point. We just need to get together and actually do it. You know, one of these days. He's in the States, and so we have to actually ship shit to each other. You know how that goes, right? And then I've got the long tube header as well for the car. So all of that in mind, which granted, my car's not going to be super fast, but it's not the point. I don't need, I don't need a ton of power, right? I need it to be light and balanced with a little bit of power, which, granted, horsepower's not there. Torque, though, I've got some torque in the car. Like, with the current setup, she makes 100 wheel horsepower and 220 foot-pounds of torque on the dyno, right? And that's before any long tubes, that's before the head that swap, that's before the cam swap, that's before any other work. That is just the way I have her set up right now. With the long tube, with the tri-power, with the cam, I'm probably going to be closer to like 150 horsepower and closer to 300 torque to the tire. Give or take. It might not be quite that high, but funny enough, I actually help run a dyno, so we'll be able to figure this out that way. And so it's one of those deals where I don't really care if somebody can use a V8 and potentially be a little better, but on the road course, it comes down to your overall setup, how light you are, and how good of a driver you are, right? So, and that's the thing, like my car is like the perfect setup for me. And also, without lightening a Mustang, like without lightening a Fox body with a V8, how much do they weigh? It's over 2,800 pounds with the same spec as my car. This car was 2,680 pounds bone stock. Nothing done to it. That was with the automatic still in it. That way. Right? Now, I don't know where she's at now, right? Well, here's the thing. Okay, cool. You have a lot of trophies with your V8, okay? Like, Duke, all I'm saying is what I like to do, and that I've been very competitive with what I've done so far. And now with the suspension I'm getting, which is coming in the coming weeks, and with the other upgrades that I'm doing, this car is going to be a lot more potent of a car on the road course. The only thing that's going to hold me back is I'm still on stock control arms so far, and I still won't have like good tires. And bear in mind, I've never had amazing tires on the road course yet. So if I had like really amazing tires on that second year at the road course, I could have potentially beaten that S197 GT and that WRX around that course, because I was on some. They were decent tires, but they weren't like slicks or anything like that, right? Um, they weren't even like a 200 treadwear tire. They were a sporty tire, but they were probably like closer to like a 290 or 300 treadwear tire. Like, that's all. So, if I could get a tire that's a 200 treadwear and that is like more of a sticky compound, this thing's going to be an absolute weapon. And I can't wait for that, honestly. And like I said, and the new season is going to be starting back up here. And there's going to be more and more upgrades as the season goes on, hopefully. I've been making more connections with other people that might be able to help me out in this dream of mine as well. Like, I actually, he's been a fan of mine for about a year now. I didn't realize he was actually here in Alberta, and I'm supposed to meet him actually at the swap meet on Saturday. And he has like a fantastical car collection. And he's gonna bring some of his cars down actually. And he's apparently like an amazing fabricator, and he's got a bunch of parts lying around. He might even have tires for me. Like, he said he was gonna look, but unfortunately he's got heart disease and he's in the hospital right now from it. So he hasn't been able to actually check out his shop, unfortunately, or any of his shops to find any of the parts that he might have for me. Because all I asked him for is like, hey, if you have some good like road racing tires that are, I gave him the parameters of between a 225 and a 245 and no taller than a 26 tall and a 15. Even a 14, but preferably 15. I can make that work, right? And I asked him if he has any sequenced one barrel carbs. Like, and basically what I mean by sequenced is they're all the same style carburetor. Because unfortunately, my plan for potentially doing that now, I don't have that third carburetor anymore. Because I was going to do the 2-barrel carb swap on the truck, and then I was going to take the Carter YFA and put it on Stitch. But didn't do that, clearly. So now it's like, it's going to be interesting. I still have to find carburetors, and I still have to get the head checked out. Oh, yeah. And actually, Ben raises a good point. There's always something faster. There's always something slower. There's always drivers that are faster. There's always drivers that are slower. Absolutely, right? Like, I know what I can do with the car, and I'm going to be, like, curious on, like with the suspension stuff, how much better I'm going to be, right? The car, even if I have shitty tires, shouldn't understeer near as bad. It's not going to have near as much body roll, and should get traction easier too. Plus, she's going to be a little bit lower. Like, so the one thing is with these coilovers that I'm getting, you know, um, the coilovers actually they can either be at the same ride height you have now, or you can lower them 2 inches. So I think that I'm going to actually on the track days, I'm gonna lower it the full 2 inches. And then run the track day with it lowered 2 inches. And then at the end of the day, I'll raise it back up again to the proper ride height and, drive it on the street like that. Right? I don't know. You didn't ruffle any feathers, to be honest. You're all good. Like, it's one of these things where I get people all the time that they think that potentially now, and not that you were being this way, but they will think that like I am so stupid for running an inline six. Like, why would I do that, right? And is there really a lot of logic to it? Not really. Yes, I justify it in different ways, but at the same time, it's like a 302 might actually be better in the end. But I love the inline six, and also, especially with gas prices being as high as they are, I kind of like getting 30 miles to the gallon too. Which a 302 has never done 30 miles a gallon. Unless you spend a shitload on like some fancy fuel injection, because the factory fuel injected 302s didn't really cut it for that sort of efficiency. Like, they were pretty good, but they weren't quite to that extent, right? Like, honestly, now if I wanted best of all worlds, like an LS swap would make the most sense, but again, I don't want to do an LS swap, and that's just, to me, an LS swap is even more boring than a friggin' 302, you know? Now, what have you done to your Ranchero that it gets 28 miles per gallon in the city? Because I do not believe you on that. Like, there's no way. My 302 Fox body that I had, convertible, got 21 highway. So unless if you have a ridiculous gear set in that car, and that it's like shutting off at every single traffic light, and all this different jazz, that you would actually be getting that kind of fuel economy. Like I don't in the city, there's no way. There's too much stop and go. There's too much variability. I go over to Thunderhead 289. Okay, so do you have a carb cheater on your car? Because don't get me wrong, I know they help actually quite a bit with the carb cheater setup. But, and alternatively, if you've swapped over to a gas vapor carburetor, you could do that, right? But, yeah, now, granted, did you put like a 1-barrel carb on your car? That's like, it's not actually getting enough CFM. Because that'll do it too. Everything stock except the exhaust and tuned. There's no way. There is no way. Like in the city at 28? No. Like, I don't mean to sound incredulous, but that goes against the laws of physics with that engine. It just does. Without limiting the power severely, and without making it so lean that it's melting plugs and pistons, I don't see how you can realize anywhere near that kind of fuel mileage in the city. Like, hey, I am more than willing to be proven wrong. Don't get me wrong. But when somebody makes a fantastical claim like that, of their 302 in the city that gets 28 miles to the gallon, you understand how I can be incredulous about it, right? Because you're talking about stuff that, unless if you have done like a gas vapor setup, doesn't line up. Like 302s can get okay gas mileage. Don't get me wrong; they actually can if you have like overdrives and stuff like that. But normally not in the city, right? And because like even with like tuning and stuff, like you'd have to, like my buddy that has a 302 that's built out in his Mark 7 that has cylinder deactivation, he gets those kind of numbers. But he's shutting down 4 of his cylinders to go down the road. So there's that. Like, that's why, and again, like, because I do see these people that say you just gotta know how to tune. I've tuned my shit pretty well. They won't do that. And yeah, like, older engines can be more efficient if they're tuned a little bit right, don't get me wrong. But yeah, well, of course. I mean, it's not like I'm all the time into my car either. You know, like my car, as an example, the best I've gotten on the highway is 34 miles per gallon. But in the city, I'm lucky if I get 25 with my straight six. Very lucky with that. Now, if I had a better flowing intake, to be fair, it would actually get better fuel economy and better power, to be fair. But like if I got the right setup on Stitch, actually, I could realize 40 miles to the gallon, to be honest, on the highway. I could easily do it. But I don't have that setup right now. So there's that. Like, how tall of gears do you have? Let me ask you that. Because like you'd have to have one hell of a highway gear to maybe get that, and if you are like hypermiling it potentially, right, that'd be the only way that I could maybe see it. And that you're like purposely shifting at like 1500 RPM too. You know, but to have enough power to actually do that without bogging is gonna be the challenge. Like, I mean, granted, 302s can actually make a good amount of power, but yeah. But yeah, like, what's your gears like, and what transmission are you running? Because that's the thing. Like, I'm always curious about this shit because when people make fantastical claims about this, I gotta know the science to be able to back it up, right? Because I've had people like, there's this guy on TikTok that has a Zephyr that's a 78 Zephyr, I believe. He says it's different than a Fairmont. They're not. They have a different grill and they have slightly different taillights and different badges. That's it, man. They're the exact same car. But anyways, he claims his inline six when he revs it, which bear in mind, this is a stock car, stock one barrel, stock exhaust, still has all the emissions on it. And that he says that it rocks the entire car whenever he revs it. I'm going, either your motor mounts are absolutely trash and all your mounts for everything are garbage, or you're bullshitting, right? So, yeah. See, now, Kelly with the C6 and the 278, yeah, highway gear. That makes sense. Like, with a manual, it makes more sense in the city to get, like, really good gas mileage. But, yeah, but, like, and that's the one thing. Like, that's a, like, that guy talking about that, though, is a bone stock straight six, just like mine, with an automatic in it. And there's no way in fuck he's getting that you know, he's able to do that with just tuning. Like, I call bullshit on that. Those Autolite 1100s, you can't tune that way. Just no, they're a shit card to begin with. You'd have to look in the morning. Okay, fair enough, because for the most part, Fox bodies, their stock gear set was usually 273s, right? But like normally, however, they can go even taller than that, and people have actually, like, and depending on what year this is too, because like I'm thinking Fox bodies, right, for the most part. Like, Fox bodies could have 273s, they could have 308s, they could have 327s or 355, right? you never could get a different gear set than that unless it's somebody put it in, right? And your 4-cylinder doesn't do near as good as your 302. Like, it's got to have like a ridiculously high gear in it. That way. But that probably means it doesn't accelerate near that well either. Okay, it's a 9-inch. Okay. So with a 9-inch, you could actually special order that and with different gear sets and whatever else. Like, so back in 69 with a 9-inch, you could have had everything from a 223 to a 258 to a 292 to a 315 if memory serves. But yeah, like, so here's the thing. If you have to have a ridiculously tall gear, though, to get that kind of fuel mileage, but you don't really get the performance out of it, it kind of defeats the whole point of what you were talking about, though. I mean, other than, of course, like, getting the fuel economy is one thing, but I'd be curious. Like, granted, your car's going to have a lot more power than mine, right? But with a C4, which gear ratios are not amazing, and you don't have like a good rear gear set in it, I'd be curious how it is like 0 to 60 and quarter mile. Actually, I'd be curious of that. So it's a Ranchero, okay, with a 9-inch in it. So I mean, it's possible it has like a 23 gear set or something like that, which would be a bit of a dog. Getting off the line. Like, just out of curiosity, have you ever tested that thing like 0 to 60 or quarter mile? Just out of curiosity. Oh, you can still break traction with it because it's still going to have like high torque or whatever else. Like, it's going to have the power to actually break the traction, but it's not going to accelerate super hard, I wouldn't think. Because to be honest, like, I could do burnouts with ease with my 3.8 V6 with 273 gears in my Fox body when I had the convertible. And with a 302 is even easier. So there's that, right? Like, and that had 130 horsepower, like, to the tire. It had 130 horsepower with a 302. So that's the other thing, though, too. Ever break my seat mounts? So me personally, no. Like, bad repairs I've done to the seat mount prior to me getting it, but like me repairing it and repairing it badly has broken on me once. Or actually technically twice. So this car, oddly enough, 2 years ago, I broke a seat mount on it, but that was a really badly welded seat mount that I did back in 2020. And and I was able to fix that with a slightly better welder, and it's good now. But yeah, to be honest, I know it's not like super hard to break them, but I don't have like the issues with like, hey, of this thing being like super powerful to break the seat mounts all the time, But it's only been the one mount that's ever broken, though. It's never been any of the other ones. It's just been the one, which is the driver's side, left side, like front one. That's the only one that's broken. The rest of them don't. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, that actually popped up in my memories that I was actually welding that in 2 years ago. Now it's ugly. Like, if you look at it, it is fugly. And did I do the repair properly? No. Because if you know from the factory with the Fox bodies with their seat mounts, right? They have that stud with a counterweight that goes through the floor, right? But it doesn't have the proper bracing. So what I did was that I just said screw it and welded the counterweight to the floor. It worked. And it's been working for years. So now, and if it breaks again, it's not a hard fix for me to do. I just got to take my grinder out, grind it all down, and, weld it back together again. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, like, it's going to be really fun, though, with getting everything set up with Stitch. Honestly, it's going to be great. So, and I'm just very excited about it. You know, it's gonna be great, honestly, and I really can't wait for that suspension to come in. Honestly, it's gonna be great, and how I'm gonna be curious of how low my weight is gonna be on my car. And I've done like everything on this car other than the suspension that everybody wants to do on these Fox bodies. Like I have like a T5 swap in this car, right? Um I also do have like the strut brace or a strut brace install, which most Fox body guys don't care about a strut brace, but they're not trying to make their cars turn. They're trying to make it go straight. So a strut brace makes no sense actually in drag racing. But in road racing, you want that. But the subframe connectors though, like they're awesome and I love it. Lucky, I put it in myself, man. That was a bitch. Like I have a T5, I have an 8.8 with 3P5s and limited slip. I have the subframe connectors put in my car. Like I got all that done. Like, and this car, bear in mind, I bought this car so original and still had date coded spark plugs in it. And the only thing that was swapped out was the passenger door and a couple little things underneath the car, but that was it. So when people talk about it, it's like, yeah, no, I got this thing. Like everything that's been done to this car has been me, right? Now I've had help from friends and whatever else, yes. But it's been my whole vision, and and I've done the bulk of it myself. So it's been freaking awesome, and I can't wait for everything else to come to fruition. Because yeah, like, and those subframe connectors are great. What else do I need? Not much. Like for my inline six, so I need to find carburetors that'll work with the one barrel setup properly, and I need to get the head checked out by a machine shop. That's it. Now you say you have inline six stuff, because I don't know what really, like, I'd be curious of what you have for inline six stuff. I need one barrel carbs that can be synced, right? Because I'm gonna run now. Granted, like they all need to be the same size one barrels, but I don't like. I'd prefer Webers because I actually have one Weber, one barrel. It's like a little 110 CFM. I might want a little bigger than that, but I don't know. Like, I also, and this is something I've talked about, and if I jet it right, it could work, but I don't know. So I'm going to have the outside carbs as a progressive setup, right? And the middle carb as the one that's actually doing everything. So there is an idea that I had, and to run 3 2-barrels on the car. It'd just be through adapters, so I'd need to get 2 more adapters, and that sort of thing. So right now I'm running actually a Motorcraft 2100 carb on this thing. That's 267 CFM. That's 1.08 Venturi, right? I'm getting another one that is 1.08 Venturi, actually from a friend of mine in the States. He's sending it up to me for free. So all I'll need is 1 more carburetor and then 2 adapters to make it work. So, which I can get. I'd actually have to go to the forum and actually ask people. It's like, hey, does anybody have 2 of these adapters? Because I want to try it. It might be too much carburation, to be fair. It's definitely a possibility. With 267 times 3, it might be too much. But if I jet down the outer carbs enough, it might actually be efficient and work. And that's going to be the challenge, right? Of figuring out exactly what will work and what won't. And I just don't know. Like, because I already have like a double roller timing chain in this car as an example. I already have that tri-power intake and head setup for it. Like, I mean, unless if you happen to have in your 3 2-barrels, like I said, I'm thinking about it. Because again, I have the Motorcraft 2100 carb on the car currently with an adapter to the 1-barrel intake. I'm getting another Motorcraft 2100. Again, both of these are 1.0 Venturi, which is 267 CFM. So if I got another one, I could make that work with the tri-power with those. It might be too much carburation, to be fair. It might be. But if I jet down the outside ones enough, it might work. Like, say, instead of... Because the one nice thing about the Motorcraft 2100 carbs, they use Holley-sized jets. And they're a really reliable-ass carb, to be honest. So, if, say, the middle carb, say, if I have that jetted to... Let's just say I have it jetted to, like, a 45. Right? As a number, to be honest. Because it's jetted to, I think, like, 48 right now. If I have it jetted to 45... And then I have the outer ones jetted to like 15 each. That might work for the progressive setup when I'm full throttle. It might not, though, too. See, now, you do have Webers, you do have Autolites, you do have Motorcrafts. Okay. See, like, and the one thing is, because I'm still debating on what I want to do. Because I've got the little one-barrel Weber, but it's a tiny fucking thing. And I don't know if I want to run it or not. I know people love their Weber 38s. You know, they're like the most favorited carb on these inline sixes. But again, that's 2-barrel, right? So I need the proper adapter. I need the Weber adapters to run that. So I don't know. Like, and that's going to be the interesting thing. Of, you know, like, because I'm not a big fan of, like, the Autolite 1100s. I think they're a garbage carburetor, to be honest. I've never had any luck with those. People like the old Holley units. You know, the Holley 1-barrels. But, I don't know. I've never had really luck with Holley carbs, to be honest. But some people do, like the Holley 1952s. And, yeah. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can make something work. If people want to donate me carbs, I can make something work, to be honest. Because like I said, I don't really have the proper carb setups. Like I said, I have this one Weber 1-barrel. That's it. Okay, see. Finally, somebody that actually says that Autolites aren't what people say they are. Holy crap. Where have you been all of my life? Where have you been? Because in the freaking inline 6 community, those carburetors are glazed so much. I'm like, why? They always gum up. They're always giving you problems. They constantly need to be rebuilt. Why do you guys like these? You know? Kelly, I have the tri-power intake on a different head in the trunk of Stitch right now. And wait, so you're in you're in Billings. Which, that's in Montana, right? Yeah, that is Montana. So actually, shipping wouldn't be awful on that from Billings. Because I'm in Alberta, right? So that's not too bad. I mean, so, hang on. Actually, let me go grab the carburetor that I've got, and I can show you. It's all good, Kelly. No worries. And you have an 80 Fairmont with a 200 inline 6 and C4, 273 rear gear, and able to do a burnout with the motor. It has 240,000 miles on it. I mean, you can do burnouts with the inline 6s, to be honest. I've done one with really shoddy-ass brakes, granted with better gearing than that, but with a C4. I've done one. If you look at my burnout video on here, like, of Stitch, yeah, that was with really shitty front brakes and really good rear brakes. That was not the easiest burnout to do in the world. But it was a fantastical burnout. But yeah, let me grab you the carburetor that I have. That, like I said, I don't know if I want to run this if I got 2 more. Or even if I got 3. Where is that carburetor? So, let's just bring this whole box. Oh, fuck. And I just dumped that. Great. Here we go. So, like... For fuck's sakes. Clearly not. Piece of shit.